Hello, my name is Alex McCoy, and I will be speaking about the 2000 Mozambique floods. In February and March of 2000, Mozambique experienced one of the largest floods in the country's recorded history. This event was preceded by predictions of heavy rain and flooding as early as September of 1999 due to La Nina. A La Nina event brings wet winds from the Pacific into the Indian Ocean and brings rainfall that is well above average to Eastern Africa. Mozambique is located on the southeastern coast of Africa and is downstream from several major rivers, including the Limpopo River and the region's longest river, the Zambezi River. But what does this all mean? Because of Mozambique's geographical location, the country is at an increased risk for natural disasters, including floods. A significant increase in rainfall could spell disaster. Rainfall began on February 8th of 2000. Within the first few days, the capital city, Maputo, was already flooded. According to FloodList, within the span of 3 days, the country had experienced 75% of its yearly rainfall. On February 11th, the banks of the Limpopo River gave out, flooding the valley and submerging villages several miles away. On February 22nd, the cyclone Leon Helene made landfall near the coastal town of Beira, causing flash floods that only added to the existing flooding and damages. The floods impacted the entire southern half of the country, from the Limpopo River Basin to Maputo, the capital city. The neighboring countries of Swaziland and Botswana were also affected. The flooding lasted 5 weeks. Concerning the frequency of such flooding events, 2 other events of note occurred in 2007 through 2008 and 2013, showing an increase in frequency and severity, seemingly connected to Earth's rising temperatures. On the topic, Louis Hossein, leader of Mondiane's local disaster committee, stated that we've been noticing the climate changing here since around the year 2000. The floods are getting bigger and more severe. The droughts are getting longer. In the floods of 2000, nearly 4.5 million people in Mozambique were affected. Up to 650,000 individuals were displaced, and the death toll numbered between 700 and 800. After the banks of the Limpopo River overflowed, dysentery ripped through the affected populace. Malaria, diarrhea, and infectious respiratory diseases also increased in the wake of the flood. In addition, many families were stranded with no food or clean water, and thus succumbed to starvation and/or dehydration. When Leon Helene crashed into the coast of Mozambique, the water brought by the cyclone submerged farms and arable land in the communities Xai-Xai and Chokwe. Irrigation systems in Mozambique were destroyed, causing a massive loss in crops and agricultural infrastructure. Around 100,000 farming families lost their livelihoods after nearly 1,500 square kilometers of land was destroyed. The cattle population also saw heavy losses, with 20,000 cows either being killed by the floodwaters or succumbing to disease shortly after the floods. Areas affected by the floods were almost completely destroyed, flattening homes and businesses alike. Over 40 health stations were also destroyed, including the second largest health station in the country. The GDP of Mozambique fell from the predicted 7% to 1.5%, and it took approximately $450 million to rebuild after the floodwaters subsided. After the floods, the water quality declined significantly, and an increase of waterborne diseases was observed. Near immediate action, such as emergency distribution of bottled water, installation of temporary water systems, and chlorination of wells helped to prevent major water quality and quantity issues in the aftermath of the floods. Because Mozambique is prone to flooding, several methods of flood management and mitigation have been put in place. There are early warning systems at the local and national levels, as well as transboundary cooperation to monitor and predict flooding. The locals, especially those in high-risk areas, are educated about flooding and trained in the proper evacuation protocol. Community leaders in these areas volunteer on disaster risk reduction committees for their towns. In the town of Mondiane, for example, community leader Louis Hossein will walk through the town with a whistle and one of 3 different colored flags that indicate when a flood is coming and what actions need to be taken to prepare. Reinforced buildings on areas of high ground are designated as safe havens in the event of a flood. In addition, Mozambique's 2018 National Master Plan for Water Resources Management called for nearly 470 kilometers of levees to be built along riverbanks to help control or mitigate flooding. These are my resources, and thank you for listening.